So we're talking about excellence in your work. Now I want to talk about excellence in the context of content marketing, because that's what we do. We're marketers here. We create content. We put relevant information on our websites that people are looking for. So I think I heard George that he wants to have credibility, right? So who in here would not want credibility? We all want to have some credibility. Well, the absolute simplest way to establish your credibility is to get a website and get on that website and solve problems for people in their field. And the more problems you solve, the more credible you are. That's kind of a no-brainer. The problem with that is it's hard. Well, if you think it's hard, then listen to Sunil. If you don't think it's hard, then just shut up and do it. Okay, Sunil's a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy. When push comes to shove, there's nothing will beat hitting the keyboard. You know, everything else is everything else. Yeah, well, I need to get this done, I need to get that. Oh, okay, just hit the keyboard. Just open up your laptop, start punching keys. It's like the big lady getting on the treadmill. Well, all you have to do is type one word a day. Just type one word a day. And if you type one, then you'll type two, then you'll type three. I remember I used to do triathlons. I hated swimming. You know, biking, you could go places and see things, right? Running was miserable, but at least you got from here to there. Swimming, you just kind of look at the bottom of the pool, look at the bottom of the pool. And so I would commit to swimming one lap a day. And invariably, by the time you got to the pool, you wanted to go swim more. But I don't know why I'm talking about that. Credibility comes from solving people's problems. Who is the one person that you respect more than anybody else? The person who can solve that problem for you. Usually it's dad, sometimes it's mom, right? And so in that context, I want to talk about excellence in providing good solutions. I want to talk about excellence in providing online solutions to real people in whatever niche topic that you're in. And so I've come up with what I think are 6 different qualities for excellence. Where's my cursor? I always use my cursor. All right. So excellent. So number 1, whoops. That's not what I want. Back up. There we go. Number 1 is self-confidence. Now, I used the word self-confidence because if I had used the word that I wanted to use, most of you would not have gotten it. Some of you that I know, Bob, Wayne, Pat, would get it. The real word that I want to use here is faith. Faith. But for most people, faith is displayed in confidence. So how do we get self-confidence? We get self-confidence from having succeeded in doing something in the past. Well, that's how we come to have faith. When I know that I have believed in this way and it has worked out for me over the course of time, I begin to learn to think in that way because if it's worked for me in the past, it'll keep working for me in the future. But if you want to be really good, if you want to take whatever you do to a higher level, you're going to want to have self-confidence. And I thought of 3 different ways that you could have self-confidence. One is in yourself, of course. Now, I know a lot of people who get online, and what they do is rehash what other people say. Well, that's okay, I guess, if you don't know how to solve the problem yourself. Maybe you know how to go find the solution to that problem. Well, when you are digging into other people's experiences and offer their experiences as the solution to whatever problem people are bringing to you, you can do that, and you can do that well. But you cannot do that on an excellent level. All you're doing is rehashing. You're just bringing other people's information. There's a lot of websites that do that. Most news sites have, 1 or 2 sources of people are there. And every other news site just rehashes the 2 or 3 people on the ground. So who is it that we really trust? Who is it that does the really good work? What is the person who has it is the site that has the person physically in the location. It is the site whose person's out there risking their neck to bring you back that information. The difference between excellence and really good is when excellence is the person who's going to die if they don't get the information. I mean, they're physically there. They're at risk. So you can have really, really good work by being a very good reader. You can have really, really good work by looking at everybody else's information, pulling that together, and sharing that in a particular way for your particular audience. But that's not excellence. Excellence comes from firsthand experience. Excellence comes from having been there, done that, and done it well, and been able to reproduce it, and been able to give it to somebody else, and they've been able to reproduce it. And then whoever you've been able to give to people to reproduce, now they can give it to someone else. You've not only been able to reproduce yourself, you can reproduce people who can reproduce themselves as well. You see, you see how that works. So self-confidence is being able to have complete faith that you are able to deliver the information firsthand. When you hit publish, it's because you know that. It is because you have been there. And then another kind of self-confidence is the faith in relevance. In other words, when I hit publish on my website, I hit publish on my website for the people that I want to reach. So Wayne, he's going to provide nursing solutions. Well, if you start writing about Britney Spears, you're off topic, in case you didn't know that. You see, when I hit the publish button, I know in my bones that what I am beginning to share with people is relevant to the people who come to my website. One of the very first things we talk about, when we're building websites and getting ready to blog, is we come up with what do we come up with, Pat? The tagline, of course, what it is we do in 10 words or less. What is your website about in 10 words or less? Talking about focus. What is your website about in 10 words or less? And if you hit the button about something that does not directly cut or connect to your tagline, you've lost relevance. And when you lose relevance, you lose excellence. Excellence comes when you're always, 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 always on topic. When you are focused, when you hit the publish button and it connects with what you promise people they'll find on your website. Does that make sense? And then the third kind of faith, or a third kind of self-confidence we can have, is we have confidence in our preparation. We have confidence in our preparation. And what I mean by that is I have done due diligence. I have done the work. Go ahead, throw problems at me. It doesn't matter to me. I don't know how many speakers I know. I don't know how many writers I know. And the speakers who don't leave time for Q&A, right? Because they're afraid they might get a question they can't answer. And you got writers who turn off the comments. They're afraid they might get some feedback, get some questions that they're not able to address. This person has not prepared well. The person who has prepared, the person who has examined all physical possibilities through all different avenues of what may come their way. Of course, the person who is prepared to deal with all inevitabilities is the person who does excellent work. Anything short of that is short of that. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be really good. You haven't looked at every cat in the world, have you? But you've looked at a lot of them. But when you have looked at every cat in the world, it's different than a person who's only looked at half, one-third, or whatever. So that's how we measure excellence. We measure excellence by how well we are prepared to meet that inevitability. How well are we prepared to meet what it is that we don't know about? So for me, the first step toward excellence is faith. Faith comes from having seen things play out the way you expect them to. And the more you see things play out the way you expect them to, the more confidence you have that they will play out in that way in the future. Right, Bob? Yeah, we know that from where? From Hebrews 11. Knowledge. Well, it almost seems like it's a given. If you're going to write about what you know about, then what, Priyanka? Well, we better know about it. Well, how many people do you know who pretend to know about things? I know people who pass themselves off as experts because they got good grades in speech class. They could write good papers. And they're not really experts at all. They're just good readers, and they got good memories. And so now they can come and they can deliver. They pass themselves off as an expert. It's not the same as really having knowledge. So in the Greek, I took 4 years of Greek when I was in college, and this is probably the only thing I remember, but not really. The word for knowledge in Greek is gnosko. It's gnosko, and there are two kinds of knowledge in the Greek world. Greek is a really cool language. Now I don't want to do the preaching thing, the Christian thing to you all, but I am a Christian. I'm not ashamed of that, and we do thank the church. And the church lets us use the building. Say thank you, church. They don't take any money from me. They open up the place. They hear you come. But so I remember my graduation day, my Greek professor, he was giving out the Greek award to the best Greek student, the best student of Greek. I didn't get it, okay? But what he said when he handed out this award, he said, this is a person, that I forget who got it, but the person who got the award, Greek is the language that the creator of the universe chose to be able to share what was in the creator's heart. There were lots of languages to pick from, but Greek was the one that was picked because Greek has an exactness to it that no other language has. Greek has a specificness to it that no other language has. And one of those examples is the word for knowledge. The knowledge, you got gnosko. There's a knowledge that is intellectual. In other words, you read it and then you know it. It's like reading Wikipedia. If you can memorize Wikipedia, you'd be very knowledgeable because you're very smart and you have a deep, deep intellect. But then there is a knowledge that comes from experience. So I know there's China. How many of you have been to China? How many people have been to China? Well, how many people know there's a country called China? Well, you see the difference. Some people know there's China way over there on the other side of the ocean. But if you've been there, then you know that's there because why? You've been there. How many of you have been to India? Yeah, all right, there's a couple. So there's only 3 of us been to India, but the rest of you know that there's a country, India. But you don't know that until you actually step foot on it. You only know it intellectually as opposed to experientially. So which kind of knowledge do you think leads to excellence? Of course it does. Now, you can do great work just by being smart. And there's a whole lot of people who sit in universities, telling people how, all sorts of stuff, but they've never lived life. They've never done things. They're talking theoretical versus practical. In theory, they may be right, but when they've actually practiced it and it worked, then it's not theory anymore. And you can feel the difference there. You can feel the level of quality between theory and practice, where I think it'll play out this way, but this is how it played out. I know I've done that. One leads to excellent. One could be great, but the other one is excellent. You see, there's a difference. So if you want to have excellence in your work, strive for knowledge that comes from experience. Now, I know why Peter works 50, 60 hours a week, because he wants to be excellent. Have you ever turned a cat away? Well, no way. Of course you're not going to turn a cat. I'll bet your favorite cat is the one you've never seen before, right? Your favorite kind of patient is the one you've never dealt with before, right? You see, when give me something nobody else has ever done before, let me handle that. Well, that's when it gets cool. That's when you'd be able to distinguish yourself. If somebody else can't handle this problem, give it to me. If nobody else can handle the problem, I want it. If I mess it up, so what? Nobody else could do it anyway. But if I succeed, well, look at him go. I remember when I went to Japan 100 years ago, and then we went to this place called Niigata. And then I went over as an English teacher, but I did mission work, this kind of thing. And I went to this place called Niigata, and all the missionaries in there said, oh, my goodness, Bill, you're an idiot. What do you want to go back there for? This place in Niigata is on the backside. It's literally called the backside of Japan, like the backside of Japan. There's the Japanese Alps. You got Tokyo and Osaka on one side. Japan's got shaped like a banana, right? Like a banana. You got Tokyo, Osaka down here on the other side. It's back in the countryside where people don't want to change. If they want to change, they'll go to Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto. They'll go down on the other side. If they don't want to change, they stay on the backside. So, Bill, you're an idiot for going to the backside. That's the graveyard of missionaries, they call it. The graveyard of missionaries. Well, I said, well, that's where I want to go. Why wouldn't I want to go where nobody else wants to go? Of course you want to go where nobody else wants to go. Because if you go there and fail, they say, well, see, we knew you were going to fail. Well, I did, just like you thought I would. But if you do anything beyond that, whoa, look at him go, look at him go. You have nothing to lose when you do something that nobody else will try. And when you're able to do stuff that nobody else wants to try, that's when you go from good to great to excellent, right? That's when we get into excellence. The knowledge that comes from experience. Then we got speech. Speech. Now, this is not, can I talk? And, the words, the sounds come out of my mouth. We want to be able to have the ability to articulate words that reflect the knowledge that we have. We want to be able to articulate with words that we have this experience. I taught at a small private college here for 4, 5, 6 years or whatever, and there were a bunch of fashion designers, IT, people, and what was the other one? Graphic designers, artists and that kind of thing. A bunch of weird kids drawing pictures and thinking they could sell them. Well, that's okay. And little girls drawing, people with funny hats and all that kind of thing. And so I put everybody in the room, and there they all sit, and I'm teaching writing class. And I have to do the public speaking class, and I have to teach psychology and whatever. So I'm teaching the speaking class to this room full of graphic designers and pimply nerds and fashion designers, right? And I asked them, I said, which one of you guys is the best artist? And of course, that depends on what kind of art you want. It could be cartoon, it could be real people, it could be fine art, it could be liberal. So which one of you is the best art? Well, nobody knew the answer. Which one of you has the best ability to be able to connect the hardware in the IT department? Which one of you is the best drawer of fashion? Which one of you has the most creative? And the answer to that question was nobody knows the answer, because it depends on the taste of the client. What do they want? So I have all these people who are relatively equal in their ability. The only thing different is who wants them and who doesn't. So how do you distinguish yourself when you're all equal in ability? How do you set yourself apart? I said, you're supposed to know how to draw. You're supposed to know how to create graphics. But can you articulate? Can you write what it is that you do? You see, the person, if two people show up and Wayne knows how to draw and Vern knows how to draw, and I say, can you do this for me? And Vern says, maybe. And Wayne said, well, of course I could do that. I've done that. You see the difference. When you're able to articulate, when you're able to have the words come clearly out of your mouth or through your keyboard that expresses the knowledge that you have within you, then you have a speech that will lean toward excellence. Does your speech have integrity? Do you have integrity in your talk? So when people look at you and they hear what you say, can they see what's in your heart? Now, have anybody ever read an email? I mean, it's an email, right? It's a white piece of paper with black code going back and forth like that. But you read this piece of email and you knew the person who wrote that was angry at you. How did you know that? Because you can read. Well, you see, make no mistake. When people read your writing online, they know whether you are a person of integrity or not. They will know whether you're just trying to push something on them or whether you're the real deal. Now, you can fake that for a while. You can fake that for a long time, maybe, but you just can't fake it forever. Does your speech reflect integrity? Does your speech reflect that, gosh, I am a person that you can rely on? And does your speech reflect character? What kind of person are you? If you're one person in body and soul and physical, and you're another person in writing, there's a disparity, isn't there, Bob? I'm picking on Bob here. I love Bob. But when there is a person who's like this in person, but they're like this when they write, there's a gap that exists. And when there's a gap that exists, we fall short of excellence. We ought to be able to write, speak, articulate ourselves in such a way that it reflects the exact person of who we are. And when you can do that, then you begin to reach toward excellence. If all you want to do is just write, solve problems, write, solve problems, write, solve problems, you'll do a good job. People will find you, people will pay you, and you'll make money doing that because you solve problems. You solve problems. But when you solve problems because you have character, when they know this is a person I can trust this person because you can tell by the tone. You can tell the technical word is what is voice. You can tell by the voice that's here that this is a person whose speech reflects what lives inside of them. And when we are able to do that, then we are able to reach toward excellence in our present in our work. Next, we've got what I got here: earnestness. Earnestness. That's a great word, I think. Earnestness. Actually, wrote some of these things down. Earnestness, from where I come from, is delivering the wow factor. I my father-in-law has some kind of something on his lung. He doesn't smoke. We don't think it's cancerous, but it looks like it might be. And he's 70 some odd years old. Went down, did the biopsy, blah blah blah, and they cut him open and they poked holes and all this sort of things, and then we went home. And don't you know, that night the doctor called. Dr. Kikawa, whatever his name was. And he said, I'm just following up to make sure. And my in-laws and my wife are floored. Do doctors call people these days? Do doctors actually, don't they get paid out the wazoo, and don't they pay people to make phone calls like that? Wow. I remember, and this goes back a while, but this is back in the 80s. Some of you weren't born yet, Priyanka, but I was. Some of you were born for the third time about in the 80s. Back in the 1980s, I went to Japan. I hadn't been there for a week, and I needed a car. Gotta get a car. So I went to the used car dealer. The guy's name is Honda. Not Honda. It's Honda. It's Honda. His real name is Honda. And I said, he was a real person. There he stood, Mr. Honda. And I said, I need to buy this used car. And I threw money at him, and I bought that used car, and I drove home. About 2 weeks later, he comes knocking on my door. Okay, what? I just want to see how your car's doing. Have you ever heard of a used car salesman following up after 2 weeks to make sure everything was right with your car? No, you don't hear that sort of thing. I bought 60, 70 cars from that guy. Not for myself. I mean, over the years, in my 20 years, every 3 or 4 years, I bought a car from him. Remember Russia and Perestroika, Paris Glasnost, when Russia opened up, there's a whole bunch of sailors came from Far East Russia. They brought these big cargo ships. They pulled into port, and what they were doing with their cargo ships, they unloaded all this lumber from Siberia, and then they had a big empty ship. You know what they did? They took cars back with them. And where do you think they got those cars? From me. Where do you think I got them from? From Honda. Right? Because he totally delivered the wow factor. Where in the world did that come from? So earnestness is reflected by giving people something they just completely didn't expect. It's that whole extra mile thing. It's that digging down deep, and I'm going to do more than anybody else thinks I can do. Earnestness comes across as being genuine. There are classes in being genuine. What? How do you practice being genuine? You either are who you are or you're not who you are. But people take classes on how to come across as being, the real deal. Politicians? Yeah, politician, yeah. You know how to tell when a politician's lying? His lips are moving, yeah, that's right. You know how to tell when a person is earnest? Because you can hear it in their voice. You can see it, and you can see when their arms move. When somebody really thinks what they think, you can feel the wind. Yeah, I know this guy, of course. Genuine is the whole WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get, kind of thing. And people can tell that online. You can tell when someone's trying to pull something over on you when you read their email, can't you? Well, people can tell that about you when you're online. So it comes across as being genuine. Earnestness comes across as being passionate. We hear this a lot. Oh, passion. No, we love passionate people. Who doesn't love passionate people, right? Because passion is a burning sensation. Kind of works its way through your bones. That's what the Bible calls it. It says the fire burning in our bones is called, and you get tired because the bones. One of the prophets, Jeremiah, that was his problem. Passion comes from an inability to hold something in. What you know about selling property in Florida is so cool. Why wouldn't people want to know about that? And you don't go try to tell people what it is that you know. You can't help but tell people that. And if you've got something that you can't, Wayne's got this. If you've got something you can't help but tell people about, then you've got a passion for your subject. You see, it's a different level. I know something about animals that nobody else knows. Well, maybe there is no secrets that nobody else knows, but there's nobody in Fremont knows this. There's nobody within my circle that knows this. You say, passion doesn't display itself as, jumping up and down and being all excited. That's not how it works. Passion displays itself as you can't help but tell people because it's so cool. In the Bible world where I live, we call it one beggar telling another beggar where to find food. I found some food. They're giving away food at San Francisco's wherever park, and all the beggars spread the word. They all come. The whole crowd comes. The whole crowd comes. John's there, yeah. So we got passion. Earnestness is excitable. I think one of the dumbest things people say when they get up in front of a crowd, man, I'm really excited to be here. You should never have to say that. If you're excited, people should be able to see that in you. The person says, I'm excited. Okay, well, why are you telling me that? Why don't you do something that makes me be convinced that you're excited? Well, see, that's how earnestness displays itself. It's excitable. It makes your feet dance. It gives you RLS. Is that what it is? RLS, restless leg syndrome, right? I'm trying to remember you can't. Earnestness is so stinking cool. I can't wait to see somebody today so I can tell them. When's the last time you saw a movie and you couldn't wait to tell somebody I just saw that movie? I just saw Interstellar. Don't go see it. It was dumb. I got so sleepy. But then I saw Hero 6. That was kind of cool. Anyway. The big, oh yeah, is that what I said? What did I say? Yeah, big hero. Yeah, Hero 6. Well, he was big, so anyway. So, and earnestness comes across as emotional. Emotional. It's really, really hard to hide your emotions. Anger. I never get angry. Mad, joyful, peace, gentleness. These things are displayed by. I'm a wimp anymore. I used to be manly and not cry. I cry all the time when I watch movies. I cried at Big Hero 6. It was really cool at the end. I'm not going to tell you, but it was, you got kids? Take your kids to see that. Have you seen it? Take them to go see it. They'll enjoy it. You'll be really surprised. I wasn't expecting that at the end. You see, it's emotional. Have you ever heard somebody speak and their voice started to quiver? And you thought, the dude's faking it. No, you don't think that for a moment. You think, oh my goodness, I hope he doesn't lose it. Because if he loses it, I'm going to lose it. Right? You see that there's that quiver. There's that shake. There's those goosebumps. I heard this girl sing the other day in church. I mean, she just sings there every Sunday. And this time they give her a chance to sing by herself. And when she was done, everybody just stood there with their mouths wide with goosebumps. Right? And then they just... Earnestness is emotional, and then I got one more. I got two more. Earnestness is resolute. Resolute. Abraham Lincoln. Nothing is more important than that resolution that I will succeed. There's that. I have made up my mind that I am going to do this, no matter what. There's a story about Harry. There were these two guys, and their town flooded. The whole town, water started flooding. And so these two guys, I'll call them Bob and Wayne, climbed up on the roof, right? And they're looking over at Harry's front yard, and the water keeps coming up, and they see a hat down there in Harry's front yard. And there's Harry's hat going straight down the yard, and it turns around and straight coming back, and it turns around and straight, there it goes again. Bob said, man, look at Harry down there. Look at that hat down there in Harry's front yard going back and forth, back and forth. And Wayne said, well, of course. Harry said, today come hell or high water, he's going to cut the grass. That was funny. Okay, yeah. Right, okay, come on, that was funny. You see, nothing can beat that determination that I am going to do this no matter what. I'll tell you a better story than that. You didn't laugh at my jokes. I'll tell you now. This is a story about Emiko. Kobayashi Emiko. Emiko is a little 17-year-old girl, little tiny little Japanese girl, all cute and stuff. And in Japan, we had these walkathons. We're going to walk. So you walk, you take pledges, you collect money, and then you collect money and you send them off to India or whatever. You try to redeem and save people. And so we started these in Japan. Or I started this in Japan back before. They never had a walkathon before. So I had a staff of Japanese, and I explained to them, okay, we're going to go walk. Where are we going, Baloo? We're going to walk 100 kilometers. Now, I just pulled that out of my backside. I should have said 10. It would have been a lot easier. 100 kilometers, about 62 miles. So we're going to walk 62 miles in one day. And they said, what, are you nuts? And I said, and we're going to ask our friends to give us money for each kilometer that we walk. 10 cents or 10 yen or 100 yen, whatever it is. And they looked at me. And I can speak Japanese really, really well. And they looked at me like, are you nuts? You're not doing that. That's stupid. And besides, we don't really understand what you're talking about. And so I waited a year and I brought up this idea again. And I said, okay, let's go out and do this 100-kilometer. We're going to collect money. We're going to send it off to the Philippines where they had the tsunami, and we're going to try and rescue these people. I said, but Lou-sensei, you talked about that last year. We didn't understand last year. We don't get it this year either. We don't want to do it. So I waited another year, and I brought it up, and they said, you keep talking about monies and walks, and we don't want to. I said, okay, forget it. I'll tell you what, I'll go by myself. So I'll go by myself. I don't care whether you go with me or not. And then 20 of my students said, okay, we'll go with you. We don't know what you're going to do, but we're going to follow you. And so we raised about $3,000. Do you know that a kid who's been sold into slavery can be bought for about $30? So for $3,000, we bought 100 children who had been sold into slavery. We bought them and returned them and re-educated their family and returned them home. And so we started doing that. We did that for about 10 years. And so after 10 years, we got like $100,000 or whatever. But around the 8th or 9th year, there's this 100-kilometer goal. 100. Has anybody ever gone 100 kilometers? 60. Have you ever walked 62 miles? It's a long way. It's a miserable long way. But we did this 62 miles, and Emiko said, I want to go too. Okay. So we take off. We leave at midnight. We walk all night. At midnight, we're all done. We pack up everything else. We put everything in the car, and we look around. We can't find Emiko. Emiko. She's not there. So everybody gets in their car. Everybody goes home. I get in my car. I go back on the road, and I'm driving backwards on the course to see if I can find her. At 87 kilometers, about 57, 58 miles, there's Emiko. It's the middle of the night. It's cold. And she's crying and she's walking. I said, Emiko, get in the car. Everybody went home. I said, Emiko, home. Get in the car. There's no more aid stations. There's nobody waiting for you. There's no goal. Get in the car. We're all done. We're all going home. And she starts crying. I start crying. I said, Emiko, get in the cotton pin car. She wouldn't do it. She wouldn't do it. She just kept on going. We had a goal of 24 hours, 27 and a half hours. 27. Emiko finished the course. 27, because she made up her mind she was going to do that. You see, it wasn't a problem how far can I go. It's how long does it take me to get there. You see, there was this resolution in her mind. I'm going to do this. I don't care. But you see, in resolution, earnestness displays itself in that resolution. And there's yet another level, and I call it driven. Driven. Earnestness displays itself in being driven. What is your mission in life? You say, I just want to make a lot of money. Well, good luck with it. Let me know how that drives you day in and day out. I want to change people's lives for the better. Well, let me know how that works in you day in and day out. You see, when you have a mission in life that compels you, and this would be another day on another night on another subject, but when you have a mission in life that compels you to get up there and go do that, you see, then you start reaching for earnestness. And when you've got that level in your commitment to what you're doing, that's when you start reaching excellence. And you say, well, I just want to be genuine. Okay, go for it. Genuine, no, you'll reach a high level, but, passion, mission, resolution, these are the kinds of things that take us to a higher level. Let's see, what else I got here? I got two more. Love. I'm a pretty frumpy person, but I really care whether you can see your goals or not. And I know that if you do what I tell you, it'll work. And for the last, year or whatever, I've been telling you mostly for free. Some of you pay $10 a week, some pay $10 a month. I don't know. How many times have I checked on you to see whether you paid or not? Yeah, I happen to know that if you have a keyboard and you have the discipline, you can touch the world. You just do this and you can touch the world. You can touch the entire world. I know that. You know, because I can go to my Google Analytics and I can look at Pan Asian Biz, and I have all 226 countries that have been to my website. I've done it by myself. And I know that there's more people here that can do what I can do. You see, I know that if you have a keyboard, you can literally touch the world. And if that's not the coolest thing in the world. You know, Peter, are you good at what you do? Yeah. Priyanka, is your book any good? Yeah. Pat, are you any good at what you do? Yeah. Then why shouldn't people know about you? If you're good at what you do, then shame on you if you don't tell people about it. You know, we tend to think, well, I don't want to be, self-promoting. Well, why don't you want to be self-promoting? If I'm good, why wouldn't I tell people I'm good? You see, it's Will Rogers. You know who Will Rogers is? If you know who Will Rogers is, I know how old you are. You know, Will Rogers says, if you can do it, it's not bragging. See, if you say, I can do this and I can do that and I can change the world, I can do all that, but you really can't, that's empty promises. That's bragging. But if you can actually deliver what changes people's lives for the better, then why shouldn't you tell people that? Why? Shame on you. Seriously, shame on you if you don't. You see, because you have this compassion, you have this, love. Love is demonstrable. It shows itself. It displays itself. It comes out. And when you have that genuine, heartfelt, from deep inside feeling that takes actions that reaches to real people, and suddenly that person's life is no longer the same because they've met you, then you have real love. And that is excellence. You put that in your work and you've got something that's excellent. And then the last one I got here is giving. Giving. There's a parable. Parable is like a story with a motto. For if you don't know, it's Jesus tells this story about a slave who's sent out in the field and he works all day, and the slave comes back, and now I forgot how it went. I'm gonna mess this up. So the slave comes back, and then the owner says, "Okay, now go fix my dinner." Okay, and then that's what he's supposed to do. So the slave fixes his dinner, and then I'm going to exaggerate this a little bit. Then the owner says, now I want you to do this, now I want you to do that. So the slave has been working all day. He comes into the field, and the owner says, now go do this, now go do that. And he goes and does that. He goes and does everything that's required of him. And then Jesus calls him unprofitable. Unprofitable. You see, if you do only what is expected of you, there is no profit there. So Wayne, if I paid you for an hour and you gave me an hour, there's no profit there. All you did was get what you paid for. Now, what Jesus was trying to say is when that slave comes in and he does everything that he's supposed to do, because that's what he's supposed to do, and then he does more than what's expected of him, that's when we reach into the profitable realm. See, we always, if you want excellence, we're talking excellence, if you want excellence, you will always give more than what people ask for. You will always give more than what people expected from you, and then you will always stay longer than what was required of you. You will always sign more than what people had asked for. It's the more fact. This is what you want. I'll give you everything you want, and then I'll give you more. And when you do that, you've got excellence. When you do only what's expected, nothing to brag about there. Put all those things together, and you've got excellence in your work. Put that on your online website, and I bet you people will read it. Not only will they read it, but they'll start filling out the contact us form, right? And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Let me turn this off, and then we'll